So we are done with basic enumeration. Now we are doing special or specific enumerations we did for ACL. Now let's take a look at group policy. So what is group policy? Those of you who have never worked as a system administrator, never toiled as a system administrator, uh, group policy provides the ability, it is the de facto management solution in Active Directory. This is what you use to manage the 50K nodes that your organization may have. So you can apply policy settings that could be based on log on, log off scripts, registry, whatnot. So a policy setting may apply on a user or on a computer. So for computers, what can you apply? Security settings, startup and shutdown scripts, assigned applications assigned to the machine, and so on. For users, once again, it could be security settings, log off and log on scripts, assigned applications, and more. You can literally control how a machine is used or what a user has access to using group policy. Group policy applies on organizational units or OUs. Now, each of the group policy setting is contained in a group policy object. Everything is an object in Active Directory in a group policy object or GPO. Microsoft defines GPU as a GPU is a virtual connection of collection of policy settings, security permissions, and scope of management SOM that you can apply to users and computers. So a very complexly written sentence, basically a GPU is what is applied on a certain set of users or computers. Now, to apply GPU or to apply policies, you need to link it to a domain, a site, or an OU. Usually, you would have. I'll come to OUs in a moment. Okay. So we understand that group policies can be used to apply settings. The easiest example to understand is, of course, startup and shutdown scripts, let's say. So as an attacker, what you may like to do is you modify or you introduce a startup script. So whenever a machine starts, your payload will run, right? That is a very legit, well-known, old, but very legit abuse. That is why group policy is interesting for you. If you could, let's say, modify startup script on 10,000 machines in a network, and the moment any of the machine restarts, your script runs, you get, let's say, an implant or a callback from the machine. That's interesting. That is what group policy allows. How is that possible? ACL. So overly permissive group policies, let's say where low privilege users have ability to modify group policies, write DACL to be specific, then that could be used for privacy, backdoors, persistence, etc. Group policy is usually applied on OUs. What are OUs? Organizational units. These are used for delegating administration. So let's take a look at an example. Let's say your organization works across the globe. Now, there are some simpler administrative tasks like resetting user passwords. A lot of time, that is one of the banes of being an administrator. If your organization specifically does not allow for self-serving of password reset, then you need to contact an admin, request them to reset the password and so on. Now, stuff like this and other things are the most common IT tasks. So it makes sense to delegate these tasks to administrators who do not manage the tier 0 assets, that is like domain controllers, etc. You uh, delegate this to users who would be, let's say, able to reset passwords only in an OU. You break down the bigger problem in smaller chunks and assign that to different administrators. That is the idea. OU is the lowest level container to which a GPU can be applied. Now, because it is the most common one, it is also the most abused one, where you would have group policies applied to an OU that would have overly permissive permissions. Someone can make changes to it and have profit. So we have group policy that is applied using group policy objects, and they apply on an OU. This is, for example, a group policy object here, right? This one, the app locker. Now, how do we enumerate this stuff? We can get a list of group policy objects in the current domain using get domain GPO. For example, we can run get domain GPO here. We get a list of GPOs applicable here. What we do not get here, by the way, is what are the settings, the resultant set of policy, the RSOP. If you run rsop.msc or GP results, it shows you the applicable settings on your own machine. But if you would like to see what are the policy settings on another machine, you cannot do it remotely. That is something that cannot be enumerated, the exact policy that is being deployed. So what get domain GPO shows us is the list of group policies and where do they apply. But we will live with this for now. If your organization is using restricted groups, that is, what is restricted groups used for? To add domain groups to local groups. That can be enumerated using get domain GPO local group. So that is not configured or used in the lab. Now, if you would like to check what users we want to list users which are in a local group of a machine using GPO, or if you would like to do it the other way around, even that one is possible. How do you list the OUs? We can run get domain OU for that. These are the OUs or organizational units. How do you find out what is the group policy applied on an OU? For example, if you would like to check it out for the DevOps OU. This is the name of the group policy. And all you need to do is run get domain GPO identity and specify this name. So on the DevOps OU, it is the DevOps policy that is applied.